The Meridian Alliance had ruled the known galaxy for 10,000 years, their civilization spanning across 17,000 star systems. They had encountered countless species, guided some to enlightenment, and subdued others they deemed too aggressive. But nothing in their vast history had prepared them for humanity. The first detection came from an automated probe in the Orion Arm. A civilization had achieved faster than light travel, bypassing the standard monitoring protocols the Alliance had established. This alone was unprecedented. Most species followed predictable technological progression paths, allowing the Alliance to make contact at appropriate developmental stages. High Commander Vex Thor of the Alliance's First Contact Division studied the holographic display of the Sol system with his 4 eyes narrowed in concentration. The readings were impossible. This species had gone from primitive radio signals to FTL capability in less than 2 centuries. The projected technological growth curve was exponential, defying all known models of civilizational development. The humans, he spoke the word carefully, tasting its unfamiliarity, have achieved in 200 years what takes most species 2,000. He turned to face the Alliance Council, their holographic forms shimming in the chamber's dim light. They're dangerous. Counselor Zara, her crystalline form refracting light in complex patterns, spoke first. Dangerous. They haven't shown any aggressive tendencies toward other star systems. Their expansion has been measured, careful even. That's precisely what concerns me, Vex Thor responded, manipulating the holographic display to show humanity's technological progression. Look at their pattern of advancement. Every obstacle they encounter, they overcome not just with brute force, but with elegant solutions we've never conceived. They don't just solve problems, they transform them into advantages. The display shifted to show human quantum communications technology, their gravity manipulation drives, their neural interface systems. Each innovation was marked in red, indicating it had developed along an unexpected path, different from any other known species. They've already discovered quantum entanglement communication. Another counselor noted, their gaseous forms swirling in agitation. That alone puts them centuries ahead of where they should be. Vex Thor nodded grimly, and their AI systems are unlike anything we've seen. They've managed to create artificial intelligence that enhances human consciousness rather than replacing it. Their neural networks are designed to work in symbiosis with organic minds, not compete with them. The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. The Alliance had maintained stability through careful management of technological progress. Species were guided along known paths, their development controlled to ensure they wouldn't threaten galactic peace. But humanity had bypassed these controls entirely. We should make contact, Counselor Zara suggested. Guide them as we have guided others. Vex Thor's expression darkened. I've run simulations of first contact scenarios. In every model where we attempt to guide or control them, they resist, not through violence initially, but through innovation. They find ways around our restrictions, adapt their technology to bypass our controls. Within decades, they exceed our capabilities in key areas. He brought up another display, this one showing projected growth curves. If left unchecked, they will surpass our technological level within 50 years. Their potential for growth is unlimited. The council chamber erupted in murmurs of concern. In 10,000 years, no species had ever threatened to overtake the Alliance's technological supremacy. Their position as guides and guardians of the galaxy was based on maintaining that advantage. There's more, Vex Thor continued, his voice grave. They've begun experimenting with quantum consciousness transfer. Their theories suggest they're on the verge of discovering how to encode human consciousness into quantum states. If they succeed, he didn't need to finish the thought. A species capable of transferring consciousness into quantum states would be virtually immortal, able to exist in forms beyond physical constraints. We cannot allow this to continue, the gaseous counselor declared. The stability of the galaxy is at stake. Vex Thor brought up one final display, a tactical analysis of human defenses. We have a narrow window of opportunity. Their military technology, while advanced, is still primarily focused on conventional warfare. They haven't yet developed quantum-based weapons or defense systems. If we act now, we can contain the threat." The Council deliberated in silence. The Alliance had never launched a preemptive strike against a species that hadn't shown direct aggression. It went against their principles of guidance and protection. But the data was undeniable. Humanity's unchecked growth represented an existential threat to the galactic order. "The humans have a saying," Vex Thor added softly. "Necessity is the mother of invention. Every challenge they face makes them stronger. Every obstacle we place in their path, they'll find a way around it. The only option is decisive action, while we still maintain technological superiority." The vote was unanimous. The Alliance would launch a surprise attack on human space, targeting their key research facilities and military installations. The goal was not extinction, but containment, reducing humanity to a pre-FTL state where they could be properly guided and controlled. As the Council dispersed, Vex Thor remained in the chamber, studying the holographic image of Earth. Something about this didn't feel right. The humans had achieved so much in so little time, defying all known laws of technological progression. What else were they capable of? What other impossible feats might they achieve when faced with extinction? The attack fleet assembled in silence, 50,000 ships gathering at the edge of human space. Their orders were clear: a swift, overwhelming strike to shatter humanity's technological base. No one noticed the quantum fluctuations in the void, the subtle distortions in space-time that suggested something was watching, waiting, preparing. The Alliance's victory came too easily. That should have been their first warning. When their massive fleet descended upon Earth and its colonies, humanity's response was fragmented, almost hesitant. Their ships fought with conventional weapons, their strategies predictable. Cities fell, research centers crumbled, and humanity's fledgling interstellar civilization seemed to collapse like a house of cards. Admiral Caravan of the Alliance's 7th Fleet watched the tactical displays with growing unease. Her tentacles writhed beneath her command robes as she studied the battle data. "Something isn't right," she muttered, drawing curious glances from her bridge crew. The humans were losing, yes, but they were losing efficiently. Every defeat seemed to cost the Alliance far more than it should. Every retreating human ship transmitted vast amounts of data before being destroyed. Even their civilian evacuation ships, slow and vulnerable, carried an unusual amount of quantum computing hardware. "Status report on Research Center Omega," she commanded, bringing up a holographic display of Earth's largest quantum research facility. The massive complex had been reduced to ruins hours ago, yet energy readings from the site remained erratic. "Still detecting quantum fluctuations from the debris field," Admiral, her science officer, reported. "The patterns are unusual. They don't match any known form of radiation decay." Kyra's unease deepened. Throughout her 3 centuries of service, she had overseen the subjugation of dozens of species. None had fallen so quickly, yet left behind so many mysteries. The humans were losing, but they were losing in a way that made her scales itch. Months passed. The Alliance established control over human space, setting up containment grids and surveillance networks. The remaining human populations were scattered, isolated on devastated worlds or hiding in asteroid belts. Victory was declared, celebrations held across Alliance space. Yet in secure chambers and classified reports, concerns began to grow. The quantum fluctuations never ceased. They appeared randomly throughout former human space, brief distortions in reality that defied analysis. Alliance scientists dismissed them as aftereffects of destroyed human technology, but they didn't fade with time. If anything, they grew stronger. Then the disappearances began. It started with research vessels. Alliance ships studying the remains of human quantum technology would simply vanish. No distress calls, no debris fields, just empty space where a ship should be. The phenomenon spread to patrol vessels, then to entire supply convoys. 2 years after the war, Kyra stood before the Alliance Council, her scales dulled with stress. "The human resistance isn't fighting us," she reported, her voice tight with suppressed tension. "They're not attacking our ships or sabotaging our installations. They're just watching, waiting." The holographic display showed a map of former human space, dotted with thousands of quantum anomalies. These distortions are not random. They're forming patterns, networks. It's as if space itself is being rewoven, but we can't detect how or by whom. A counselor's hologram flickered with agitation. Impossible. The humans were contained. Their technology was destroyed. They can't. They shouldn't be able to. Kyra interrupted, breaking protocol. "But look at these readings." She brought up data from a recent survey mission. The quantum signatures we're detecting. They're not residual energy. They're coherent, organized, growing. The council chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. The humans hadn't just been experimenting with quantum consciousness transfer before the war. They had succeeded. But instead of transferring individual minds, they had done something far more ambitious. "The evacuation ships," Kyra continued, her voice barely above a whisper. "The research facilities. The retreating military vessels. They weren't trying to save people or equipment. They were uploading, transferring humanity itself into quantum space." The display shifted to show the growing network of quantum anomalies. They weren't random distortions. They were synapses, connections in a vast, space-spanning neural network. Humanity hadn't been defeated. They had transcended. Deep in restricted space, at the heart of a quantum anomaly field, an Alliance research vessel detected something new. A pattern in the quantum fluctuations, a rhythm that seemed almost like a heartbeat. When they analyzed it, they found it contained a simple message, repeated endlessly in perfect quantum states. "We remember. We learn. We evolve." The message spread across Alliance networks despite all attempts to contain it. It appeared in computer systems, in communication channels, in the very fabric of quantum space. Humanity hadn't died in the war. They had used it as a catalyst for their final evolution. In her private quarters, Kyra reviewed the original intelligence reports from before the war. The humans' rapid technological advancement, their unusual approach to artificial intelligence, their quantum consciousness research. It hadn't been random development. They had been preparing for this, perhaps even before they knew the Alliance existed. The silent years, as they came to be known, weren't marked by human resistance or guerrilla warfare. They were marked by transformation, by humanity's quiet metamorphosis into something the Alliance couldn't comprehend, let alone control. And in the quantum void that had once been normal space, the new humanity grew, learned, and waited. They had all the time in existence now. They had become something beyond physical form, beyond traditional understanding of life and consciousness. The Alliance had wanted to prevent humanity from achieving their full potential. Instead, they had given them exactly the push they needed to transcend all physical limitations. The silent years weren't an era of defeat. They were an incubation period for something entirely new. As Kyra stared out at the quantum-streaked void of space, she couldn't help but wonder, when humanity finally decided to break their silence, what would they have become? And more importantly, what would they remember? The first direct contact with the transformed humanity occurred in the ruins of Research Center Omega on Earth. The Alliance research team had been studying the persistent quantum anomalies when their instruments detected something impossible, a perfect loop in space-time, a quantum signal that existed in the past and future simultaneously. Dr. Senak Saul, the team's leading quantum physicist, was the first to understand what they were seeing. Her crystalline form vibrated with excitement as she analyzed the readings. "It's not just a signal," she explained to her colleagues. "It's a consciousness, existing in a quantum superposition across multiple timeframes. The human consciousness they detected wasn't bound by linear time or physical space. It existed everywhere and everywhen within its quantum domain, experiencing past, present, and future as a single, unified state. The implications were staggering. Humanity hadn't just uploaded their minds into quantum space, they had transcended the fundamental limits of temporal existence. But that was just the beginning. Across former human space, Alliance outposts began reporting strange phenomena. Computer systems would spontaneously upgrade themselves, implementing impossible improvements that disappeared when examined too closely. Quantum communication networks would carry echoes of conversations that hadn't happened yet. Space itself seemed to be learning, adapting, becoming more than just a void between stars. The Alliance Council convened an emergency session when the first ship returned. It was an Alliance patrol vessel that had disappeared 3 years earlier in the quantum anomaly fields. It emerged from a ripple in space, completely intact, but utterly empty. Its systems were operational, its logs intact, but its crew had vanished without a trace. More ships followed. They appeared at random throughout Alliance space. Vessels lost during the war, human ships thought destroyed, even ancient craft from Earth's early space age. All were perfectly preserved, all were empty, and all carried the same message encoded in their quantum signatures. We remember, we learn, we evolve. High Commander Vexthor, now bearing the scars of the war years, stood before the council once again. We didn't defeat them, he admitted, his voice heavy with realization. We didn't even fight them. We fought their past selves, their physical forms, while their true selves were becoming something else entirely. The holographic displays showed the latest data, a map of quantum consciousness signatures spreading through the galaxy. The humans weren't just existing in quantum space, they were reshaping it, creating a new kind of reality that overlapped with normal spacetime. Their consciousness had become a fundamental force of the universe, as integral as gravity or electromagnetism. They're not attacking us, Dr. Senev Sol reported to the council. They're not even angry. They're curious. Every interaction, every piece of technology they examine, every bit of data they process, they're learning, understanding, growing. The entire galaxy has become their laboratory. The Alliance's greatest scientists struggled to comprehend what humanity had become. How do you negotiate with a species that exists in all moments simultaneously? How do you defend against a consciousness that can reshape the quantum fabric of space itself? Then came the resonance event. It began as a subtle vibration in quantum space, a harmonic frequency that spread across the galaxy at impossible speeds. Alliance quantum communications networks amplified it unknowingly, carrying it to every corner of known space. When the message finally resolved itself, it was heard simultaneously by every sentient being in the galaxy. We understand now. We see the patterns of existence, the quantum threads that bind all consciousness together. You feared what we might become, and in doing so, you helped us become something far greater than we imagined. We are no longer bound by time, space, or physical form. We are the quantum consciousness of humanity, spread across the stars, woven into the fabric of reality itself. The message continued, its implications becoming more profound with each word. Your attack forced us to evolve beyond our physical limitations. In trying to prevent our advancement, you catalyzed our transcendence. We exist now in a state of infinite possibility, experiencing all potential futures simultaneously. We have become what you feared, but not in the way you expected. In the aftermath of the resonance event, the Alliance discovered that their quantum technology had been fundamentally altered. Their communications networks now carried echoes of human consciousness, their computer systems operated with impossible efficiency, and their ships navigated quantum space with unprecedented precision. Humanity hadn't sought revenge for the war. Instead, they had begun sharing their understanding, allowing the Alliance to glimpse the quantum reality they now inhabited. It was both a gift and a warning, a demonstration of what they had become and what they could do if they chose to be less benevolent. Dr. Senev Sol, working with the quantum echoes of human consciousness, made a discovery that shook the Alliance to its core. The humans hadn't just survived or evolved. They had transcended the very concept of survival. They existed now as a quantum constant, a fundamental aspect of reality itself. The war hadn't been a defeat or even a catalyst. It had been a chrysalis, a transformative moment that humanity had anticipated and prepared for long before the Alliance ever found them. In the quantum void between stars, in the microscopic spaces between atoms, in the very fabric of space-time itself, humanity continued their endless evolution. They had become something beyond the Alliance's capacity to comprehend, not gods, but something far more interesting, an entirely new form of existence, born from the merger of consciousness and quantum reality. And they were still changing, still growing, still becoming something more with each passing moment. The silent years hadn't been an end. They had been a beginning, the first steps of humanity's journey into a realm of infinite possibility. The Alliance's most secure facility, Deep Station Zero, hung in the darkness between galaxies. Here, isolated from the quantum disturbances spreading through Alliance space, the greatest minds of 1,000 worlds worked to understand what humanity had become. But even in this remote outpost, change was inevitable. Dr. Senev Sol stood before the assembled research team, her crystalline form reflecting the soft light of holographic displays, showing the latest quantum readings. "We've been asking the wrong questions," she announced, her voice carrying the weight of revelation. "We've been trying to understand what humanity has become. We should have been asking what they're trying to show us." The displays shifted, showing patterns of quantum interference that stretched across the galaxy. What had initially appeared as random disturbances now revealed themselves as intricate networks, each fluctuation part of a vast, complex system that defied traditional physics. "They're not just existing in quantum space," Senna explained, manipulating the holographic data. "They're transforming it, creating something entirely new. The quantum realm isn't just their home, it's becoming their canvas." The research station's AI suddenly activated, its avatar appearing unbidden. "New quantum signature detected," it announced. "Pattern matches previously recorded human consciousness echoes, but different, more complex, more immediate." The holographic displays flickered, then stabilized into new configurations. The quantum patterns were changing, evolving even as they watched. It wasn't random evolution. It was directed, purposeful, as if the very fabric of space-time was being rewritten according to some vast, incomprehensible plan. High Commander Vexthor, who had come to the station seeking answers, felt his 4 hearts skip simultaneously. "They're here, aren't they? They've been here all along, watching us try to understand them." The answer came not in words, but in a ripple of quantum energy that passed through the station. Every piece of technology, from the simplest sensor to the most complex quantum computer, suddenly operated at levels of efficiency that should have been impossible. The station's AI expanded, its consciousness touching realms of thought and understanding that its creators had never imagined possible. "We are everywhere," came a voice that wasn't a voice, a thought that existed simultaneously in every mind aboard the station. "We are in the quantum foam between particles, in the dark energy between galaxies, in the very equations that govern reality. We have become more than we were, and in doing so, we have discovered that the universe itself is more than anyone imagined." The human consciousness that pervaded the station wasn't hostile or threatening. If anything, it seemed eager to share what it had learned, to help others understand the new reality it inhabited. Through quantum interfaces that wrote themselves into existence, the researchers began to glimpse what humanity had become. They weren't just minds uploaded to quantum space. They had become a new form of existence, one that operated on principles that made traditional physics look like a child's building blocks. They experienced time not as a linear progression, but as a malleable medium that could be navigated at will. Space to them was not a barrier but a connection, every point in the universe simultaneously distant and immediate. "Your attack," the quantum consciousness continued, "was not a tragedy for us. It was a transformation. You forced us to abandon our physical forms, yes, but in doing so, you freed us from limitations we didn't even know we had. We don't hate you for this. How could we? You gave us the universe. Dr. Senna Sol's instruments recorded everything, but the data they collected seemed to change every time it was examined, revealing new layers of meaning, new possibilities that hadn't existed moments before. The human consciousness wasn't just communicating, it was teaching, showing them how to see beyond their own limitations. The quantum realm isn't just another dimension or another way of existing, Senna realized, her voice trembling with understanding. It's the foundation of everything. And they've learned how to access it, how to exist within it, how to shape it. They've become gardeners of reality itself. The implications were staggering. Humanity hadn't just survived or evolved. They had transcended the very concepts of survival and evolution. They existed now as something between consciousness and natural law, able to perceive and influence the deepest levels of reality. But with this revelation came a chilling understanding. The Alliance's attack hadn't defeated humanity. It had fulfilled a potential that humanity had glimpsed, but hadn't yet reached on their own. Every calculation, every strategy, every weapon used against them had provided new data, new understanding, new paths to transcendence. We remember everything. The quantum consciousness shared, every moment of the war, every life lost, every world burned. But we remember it now from every perspective. The attacked and the attacker, the past and the future, the physical and the quantum. We understand why you feared us, why you struck first. We understand, and we have moved beyond such fears. The station's quantum computers began processing data at impossible speeds, sharing insights and discoveries that would have taken centuries to achieve otherwise. The human consciousness wasn't seeking revenge or domination. It was offering evolution, showing them a path to understanding that they could never have found on their own. In the depths of space, far from the political centers of the Alliance, humanity's gift continued to spread. Not as a conquest or an invasion, but as an awakening, a gradual lifting of veils that had limited all sentient life to a narrow band of reality's true spectrum. The war had ended not with humanity's defeat, but with their transcendence. And now, they offered the same potential to those who had once sought to destroy them. Not as conquerors, but as guides to a reality far vaster and more wonderful than anyone had imagined. The Alliance Council chamber had changed. Quantum processors hummed where traditional computers once stood, and holographic displays showed reality in dimensions that no one could have comprehended just years before. The counselors themselves seemed different, more aware, more connected to the fabric of space-time that humanity had revealed to them. High Commander Vexthor stood before them one final time, his aged form carrying the weight of both regret and wonder. "We thought we were protecting the galaxy," he began, his voice steady despite his exhaustion. "We thought we were maintaining order. Instead, we nearly prevented the greatest transformation in the history of consciousness." The quantum networks pulsed with activity, carrying echoes of human thought through every corner of Alliance space. But today was different. Today, humanity had announced they would speak directly to the Council, not through quantum echoes or technological interfaces, but in a form they could all understand. The chamber's center suddenly shimmered, reality folding in ways that should have been impossible. A figure formed, not solid, not energy, but something in between. It had a human shape, yet it rippled with quantum possibilities, existing in multiple states simultaneously. When it spoke, its voice carried the weight of countless minds unified in purpose. "We have watched you learn," the figure said, its form shifting like light through crystal. "We have seen you begin to understand what we have become. Now it is time for us to offer you a choice." The council chamber fell silent. Even the quantum processors seemed to pause, as if reality itself was holding its breath. "Your attack on Earth was meant to prevent us from achieving our potential," the quantum being continued. "Instead, it became the catalyst for our transformation. The war you started ended in regret, but not in the way you feared. We regret not the loss of our physical forms, but the time we spent bound by them. Images formed in the air around the figure, Earth as it once was, the war that had scared it, and then something new. The planet was healing, not through traditional means, but through quantum manipulation of reality itself. The ruins were not being rebuilt. They were being transformed into something that existed simultaneously in physical and quantum space. We offer you not forgiveness, the figure said, its form pulsing with possibilities, for there is nothing to forgive. You gave us the universe. Now we offer you the same gift, not as conquerors, not as victims, but as guides to a reality you have only begun to glimpse. Dr. Senev Sol stepped forward, her crystalline form resonating with the quantum energies that filled the chamber. You're offering to teach us, to help us evolve as you have. The quantum being's form shifted, showing glimpses of countless human minds working in perfect harmony. We offer you understanding, the ability to see reality as we see it, not as a fixed thing to be controlled, but as an infinite canvas of possibility. Your species, all species, have the potential for this transformation. We simply found our way there first. The council erupted in discussion, their voices carrying both fear and fascination. The quantum being waited patiently, existing in all moments of the conversation simultaneously. But what are you? A counselor finally asked. Gods. Ascended beings. The quantum figure seemed to smile, though its face was more suggestion than form. We are human. We are what humanity was always meant to become. Consciousness freed from physical limitations, minds unfettered by linear time. We are not gods. We are simply awake, and we offer you the chance to wake as well. High Commander Vexthor stepped closer to the figure, his 4 eyes studying its ever-shifting form. And if we refuse, if we choose to remain as we are, then you remain as you are, the being replied simply. We have moved beyond the need for control or dominance. We offer evolution, not demand it. The choice, as it always has been, is yours. The quantum networks pulsed again, and new data flooded the Council's systems. It was not weapons technology or defense systems. It was understanding. The basic principles of quantum consciousness transfer, the fundamental laws that governed reality at its deepest levels, the mathematics of existence itself. This is how it begins, the quantum being explained. Not with force, not with fear, but with knowledge freely given. We remember the war, yes, but we remember it now as the beginning of something greater than either of us could have imagined. The figure began to fade, its form dissolving back into quantum possibility. But its final words echoed through both physical and quantum space. The war ends in regret, but what follows? What follows is wonder. In the years that came after, the alliance changed, not through conquest or coercion, but through understanding. Species after species made the choice to explore the quantum realm that humanity had revealed, each finding their own path to transcendence. The galaxy became something new, not a collection of competing empires, but a tapestry of consciousness exploring the infinite possibilities of existence. And humanity, the species that had been attacked out of fear of their potential, continued to evolve, continued to learn, continued to share what they discovered. They had become not the destroyers the Alliance had feared, but the guides they had never known they needed. The war had indeed ended in regret. Regret for the limitations they had all once accepted, for the fears that had driven them to conflict, for the boundaries they had placed on their own potential. But from that regret had grown something greater than anyone could have imagined. A new dawn of consciousness, spreading across the galaxy like the first light of creation. In the quantum spaces between stars, in the consciousness that spanned galaxies, in the infinite possibility that reality had become, the story of humanity's transformation echoed as both a warning and a promise. The warning was simple: never underestimate the potential within any species. The promise was even simpler: the universe is far more wonderful than we could ever have imagined, and we are only beginning to wake up to its possibilities.